for cushion were put in positions this year where they had to pay for their own transportation to games, rent space to practice, rent trailers so they keep instruments, and move games due to the closing of school over April break. Just today, the volleyball players learned that they will need to transport themselves to a tournament this weekend due to budget complications. These athletes and performers deserve better. It is unfair that the spring sports and clubs are negatively affected by the lack of funds. These students should not be paying the price for an unbalanced budget. They are talented students who are proud to represent their high school, and the budget distractions continue to disrupt their efforts. Teachers in Shelton have long embraced the mantra of doing more with less. It is an unrealistic statement, but we do it every single day. But the more important concern here is the welfare of our students. These students have built relationships with their teachers only to have them vanish overnight. For some, the connections to these teachers are dependent upon daily. The first day I stepped into my sixth grade position, the students were upset and some cried. These children, aged 11 and 12, felt abandoned. Their sense of stability was taken from them. The students I serviced in Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions were also abandoned. As an interventionist, my role extended beyond academics. I fostered confidence and established rapport, as well as bridging gaps in their learning in reading and math. Now, I pass them in the hallways. They wave and ask, "Where did you go?" These students deserve a better education. All of the students of Shelton Public Schools deserve a better education. They deserve an environment built on trust and stability, where they can rely on their educators to be their support, their cheerleader, and most importantly, their teacher for every single day of the school year. Please fully fund the education budget. The students of Shelton deserve the best teachers, and those teachers are right here in our district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank the Board of Aldermen for their service. I couldn't imagine having their job, but I know it's not you guys that are totally, involved or anything.
Excuse me, you have a name and address.
Fred Tack, 68 Wheeler Street. I've been here for 60 years in Shelton. But anyway, like I said, I'd like to thank you guys for your service. And I don't fault any of you for the current status, because the last time we had a tax increase, I think we also celebrated landing on the moon. Also, I think Colonel Sanders was still private, so that's how long ago that was. We can't really fault them too much. The closest they've ever had to an iPad was an Etch-a-Sketch. But anyway, all kidding aside, I am a maintenance trade worker for the Shelton Board of Ed. I have been privileged to see the dedication of the teachers and the supporting staff in action. There's not enough time to express the accolades of all involved. There's a lot of unsung heroes among them. God bless each and every one of you. The old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it's time for the village taxpayers to accept the tax increase that is overdue. Raise the tax, it's not your fault. Blame whoever you want to blame me, blame the teachers, blame the kids, blame whoever you want, blame Biden, blame COVID. It's all in there, right? But it's the responsibility of the town to fully educate our children to the best of our ability. God bless Shelton. God bless America. Do the right thing. Help us out here.
I am Jessica Sandra at 20 Audubon Lane. I am an elementary school teacher in a neighboring town, a former Shelton graduate, a daughter of a retired Shelton educator, and most importantly, the parent of a fifth grader at Prairie Hill School. I really am here to urge you to fully support the superintendent's budget request. I just want to give you a little bit of background about my son's experience here at the Shelton Public Schools. My husband and I were so excited to be able to raise our son in the town where both of our parents live, where I grew up, and we wanted him to have those same experiences. He had the most wonderful, amazing teachers who are sitting back there, including Mrs. Dempsey, who spoke before, and he had amazing magical teachers, but he was also in the class of 26 and 27. Now, I'm not sure if you can imagine what 27 first graders would be like in a classroom, but as a former first grade teacher who had classes of maybe 22 at the most, and I know how hard that was to differentiate for all of those students, to meet all those individual needs of their students, but then add on top of that, Mrs. Welch teaching virtually and doing it distance learning with all of those students. He had to share Chromebooks when they didn't want to on devices. He had smartphones that didn't work. He now is currently having teachers, he didn't have library because the librarian was studying. He didn't have a nursing because she was studying. So he is not getting the education that he deserves. As an educator, I sit at meetings in my hometown where I don't have a voice, and I made myself a promise that I would stand here where I did have a voice and speak to you about the importance of funding the budget. But as I sit here and listen to person after person urging you to support the budget year after year after year, it makes me wonder, is my voice ever heard? Does it even have a value? Now, the next one said, education is a passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. This sentiment is particularly relevant to our current situation, as the decisions we make now regarding education funding will directly impact the future of our students and our community. Teachers in our district are already stretched thin. The recent layoffs within our school district have only exacerbated this issue. With fewer teachers, they're being asked to do more and live less. While already wounded, the schools are now facing further cuts if the budget is not funded. Not fully funding the education budget will result in large class sizes, limited resources, less individualized support for our students. Teachers will be forced to take on more, but at what cost? This will make it challenging to provide the education our students deserve. Furthermore, the impact of underfunding education is very well documented. Studies have shown that students who do not receive a quality education are more likely to struggle academically, experience behavior problems, and ultimately have lower earning potential as adults. By fully funding the superintendent's budget request, we can ensure that our students have the resources they need to success both academically and in their adult lives. Our children are the future of Shelton, and they deserve the best. Schools continue to face the monumental task of helping our students recover from the learning loss caused by the disruption of COVID-19. Performance indexes are still below pre-pandemic scores. Closing this gap will require additional resources and support, including smaller class sizes, tutoring and intervention support, enhanced educational resources, not less support. We will not be where we will not get those gains without more support. Further cuts to the educational budget will only worsen those challenges. As an elementary school teacher, I have witnessed firsthand the negative impact that budget cuts have had on our students' education and well-being. Our students deserve better. They deserve access to a high-quality education that prepares them for the successes in the future. By fully funding the superintendent's budget request, we can ensure that our schools have the necessary resources to provide our students with the education they deserve.
Thank you.
All
Hello, it's 31 elementary. I agree reading. This is a comment that I have heard so many times as a classroom teacher. Having taught kindergarten, third, fourth, and fifth, This is always a line that I constantly listen to for my students. As an educator, I would tell parents at our teacher conferences that each child needs to find their love for you. Each child needs to find and figure out what they love to read about. I assure parents that once their child found an interest in a topic or a genre, then your child will then have a love for reading. But what about those students that can't find a topic or genre? Not because they don't know to, but because they truly can't due to reading issues. There are so many students that want to love reading but can't do it on their own. As a classroom teacher, I noticed there were a lot of children who needed more reading assistance than I could give them in the classroom. And I knew within a few years of being a classroom teacher that I wanted to go back to school to further my education and literacy. Going back to school, I knew that I wanted my focus to be on remedial reading and remedial language arts. I knew I wanted to help those students with specific reading disabilities. I knew I wanted to create targeted reading instruction for those students who needed to fill certain gaps. I could see those students wanted to become better readers, but weren't able to do it on their own in the big classroom. They needed small group instruction with a trained reading teacher to help overcome those reading challenges to close the gap or gaps that they have. It took a few years for me to finally graduate with my 1-2 certification and my 6 years of reading literacy. I actually had a first child while attending classes and never paused to take the semester off because I knew how important this certification and degree was. I knew that I could help struggling readers in the future. That knowledge of knowing I can help students who love to read was what helped me know. I have been a reading interventionist for almost 4 years and have seen so many students go from I don't like reading to I love reading. That changing comment has made me wake up every morning eager to get to my job. Those small comments that made me realize how important my small group instruction was with reading instructions. I truly hope that these positions in every Shelton school at the start of the next school year. And as they say, small steps can lead to changes. One reading teacher can make a difference.
Last call for Clint Caruso. Ava Johnson. I noticed some growth in new businesses, stores, and developments in Shelton. Which I'm glad of it, brings economic prosperity for 30% better, the investments in content, in the future, the children of Shelton will become. Business owners, high level property, and skill. As a student, I'm to maximize the education and further the diversity. This support not to do from the struggle community and struggle public schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jimmy or Jen?
My name is Jeannie Meeker, I'm resident of the United Rock Service and then since 2003. My daughter started her school career at Longtown. Now, they also pledge allegiance at every school, as we did this year, beginning of this year. You also pledged by taking the seats that you hold resolving to do what is right by the citizens of the city. That means all citizens, regardless of age, ability, where they live. You have to do your civic duty to fully fund Board of Education and not defund it, which you actually have been doing. It's not underfunding, you've been defunding the Board of Education consistently, religiously, and criminally. Don't put that out. Do any of you know what ICT actually is? Do you know what actually goes into that program? Probably not. Have you ever spent a day as a junior achievement teacher? I did. In the elementary school, you sure have. Then you should have an appreciation for every educator, regardless of their skill and how long they've been in the system. It is not something that is you should do. Let alone teach 5 children. Bump that to 25, it's changing the amount of freaking that. Forget it. None of you would last in an hour. And yet these people continuously sacrifice their personal time, their personal money, their personal mental health to provide for the children of this city. Now, you may sit there and look and think, oh, $78 million, it's fine, that's perfectly adequate for, City of Shelton's 42,000 people. Will do. I grew up in a town in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, same number of people, it's a town. They fund their education, which is $86.8 million. They have 58 students. How many students in the Shelton students? Do any of you even know? No, we probably don't. And that's part of the problem. You are not the experts in your field when it comes to education. This is their interests. He and his board of education members have all sat down and told you what they need to make their budget feasible, to deal with every health insurance increase, every pension increase, and then also provide the daily needs of their students. Listen to them. Don't pull an ego trip. This is not your expertise. This is not where you rise and do great things. The greatest thing you can do is fully fund the Board of Education. Please do those things. Do not make him come up here for another thing in a row. I'm tired of it. Literally, tired of it. That's right, are you tired of hearing parents who actually be able to tell you the same speeches? I can guarantee you can look through your minutes over the last 10 years. And it's pretty much the same song coming from this microphone. Stop the song, end the dance, just fund the Board of Education. Thank you.
Alexis Weinstein. Hello. I'm here today to speak to express my profound disappointment regarding the time and the funding of the education in this town. My daughter is a student at ASS, and I want to say that I've never met such a talented, dedicated, caring group of educators. They basically see it today. They've done a wonderful job. I'm truly grateful for them. But because of the chronic and short-sighted budget cuts, they're having to do more with less, more with fewer resources, increased classroom size, lack of support staff, and much more. And I feel, and I think a lot of people feel that we are relying too heavily on the dedication and teachers who are going into all the right reasons to bridge the gap for these resources. We can no longer rely on them to continue to give up themselves and their time and their money when we are continuing to take away resources that make their working situation untenable. I wouldn't work in this, if my boss was to continue to do that to me as an employee, I wouldn't stay no matter how talented or appreciated I was. If you can't continue to supply employees with what they need, those dedicated people are going to leave. And then our town is going to be in an even worse situation regarding education. I think that we're setting our children up to fail by not supporting them and not supporting their teachers. I urge you to consider your priorities and allocate the adequate resources or more than adequate, but take even just funding the Board of Education budget. I think that more is needed, but if we can just find a place to meet and fund the Board of Education budget, then we can ensure that children of this town receive the support opportunities they deserve. Investing in education is a fundamental necessity for the whole town, not just the families of the children, but everyone benefits from a fully funded education system, even those without children. And I know that we can do where town that people who really care and really believe, and I think that we make this happen.
Harbison.
Thomas Harbison, 15 Soundcrest Drive, and we're supposed to address the board, but you would indulge me for a moment to Riley, Aiden, and Jake, Republic speak, was it present? And now for something completely different. Meetings. The public notice of this public hearing stated that the budget could be found on the city website, and then reference to those documents as they pulled them on Friday, May 10th. On the revenue side of the budget, account 31.44-00, sale of city assets has an amount of $3 million. There is no further depth or reference as to what city assets could compile to that substantial level. Is it the sale of city-owned property for development on Canal Street, or is it the sale of parcel of land along Constitution Boulevard North, which is still under construction? Or maybe you're going to throw in the towel near the end of the fiscal year and sell all the stores. Joking aside, I have to wonder if it's the Constitution Boulevard parcel. The progress of the development, conducting basic site preparation and roadwork has been visibly slow in comparison to various private enterprises all around Shelton moving projects to completion and contributing to our grants. We see them all featured prominently in our Shelton Light promotion literature. There has been no progress towards the Constitution Boulevard that I have seen, but I'm driving by every day on my way to work. A dramatic period of time has passed with little to no activity on the side of that city. I don't understand why anyone thinks that government can do a better job there than private enterprise. Don't they recall Ronald Reagan's quote, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." No matter the politics or choices made, the Board of Aldermen should be requesting a progress report on when the road will be finished and when the parts will be available for sale to start contributing to our grant list. Returning to my focus, the Board of Aldermen need to ask if that $3 million number for a sale of city property is realistic. I would like to see more detail rather than substantial yet nebulous increase of money. I see that we are renting a number of residential homes at what I believe are below market rates. 58 Perry Hill Road for $19,800, 56 Perry Hill Road for $18,279, Sandview Avenue for $19,200, 29 Old Town Road for $19,200, again $19,200 for 48 Grove Street, and 38 Black Hill Road for $19,800. These are around $1,600 per month. I would recommend that if you are continuing such low rent levels in the marketplace, that you at least put a deed restriction upon them so that they can be legally recognized as affordable housing and contribute towards the ratios needed to avoid certain developers holding the city hostage with dense development applications under 830G regulations. You had this on your agenda recently under the recommendations of the P&Z department, and the mayor encouraged you to table it, which you did. It has not been taken up again on your agenda that I have seen, but I would encourage you to do so with independent thoughtfulness. Community development is budgeted at $92,550, and last year was budgeted just $200 less, and not a penny has been spent on that line item. Because Shelton Flippo, who is at that role, has been retired for some time and not replaced. There are a lot of community grants that were obtained and administered by her, and having attended the Shelton Economic Development Corporation quarterly meeting this morning, where I serve as director, the SCDC have taken on many of the grant writing opportunities that were previously done under this line item. So it seems sense of the budget for an office that the administration hasn't refilled for so long. Engineering. Several line items related to stormwater testing, management, and MS4 outfall have had zero expenditures, and yet a substantially similar amount is budgeted for this next cycle. The amount of silt accumulating in our streets and water courses due to lack of maintenance on our streets, storm drains, and catch basins is abominable. There are state Connecticut standards and reports that need to be maintained when it comes to MS4 and municipal separate storm sewer systems. These inspection standards are not being done by the engineering department with regularity that they should. Perhaps that would be if the city engineer were actually licensed in the state of Connecticut. Perform as an engineer and be aware of new laws and regulations that apply to the city's stormwater system. Regular review of the system might perhaps identify where only an eye is inflow and infiltrations. They are occurring into the sanitary sewer system, which should be separate from the stormwater system. And yet, according to the WTCA meetings, the INI issues are causing the sewer treatment plant to exceed its capacities during heavy rainfalls. I have separately publicly suggested to the Board of Aldermen that they research the potential of ensuring that all motor vehicles within Shelton are registered to the municipality using the example of Danbury's success on that investigative research. And thus not continue to see two local developers that I've identified register their vehicles in Florida and avoid paying property taxes to Shelton. In closing, I am a lifelong resident, one of those older taxpayers reference to. Some might think it is little impacted by the education of children in the community, but you would be wrong about sentence. At my workplace, I often work with the young who are products of the school system and need to know the difference between a shovel and a spade. And that is a true life example that I've had to explain. I am one of the many who cares for this city as a whole, as you do, and I hope that you will make the challenging decision to head in the right direction. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra. This is okay. Actually, very sad please thank pronunciation. Thank you. I live at 51 Store Road, and I'm a parent of two kids who go to Boothville. And they came to me 3 weeks ago with tears in their eyes, asking what is going on, what's happening, Mom, are we in danger? Is something going on? How do I, as a parent, explain to them things that are very complicated for adults to grasp? Why we are asking for money that is needed for the education of our youth and are not receiving it over and over and over and over and over again. If you can imagine, you guys sitting here, about what, 9 people together, and it was about 250 people that came in, as I kind of counted around. It's about 30-something people per one person to you. How hard was it for you to say, don't clap? Don't raise your voice, don't complain. Now, imagine a class of kids sitting of 30 or more than 25, 27, 28. How hard it is for a teacher to stretch her or his limits trying to teach these kids. It is unbelievably hurtful to see the young adults that we have and the young kids that we try to teach as parents at home, where we try to do our job the best. and then send our kids to school where they are there for 8 to 9 hours a day with their teachers, with someone who they connect. And then those teachers are being let go at the end of the semester. That is just unacceptable. I can tell you one thing, a person that dies, you cannot bring back to life and change that. But anything else in life, you can change, you can work, you can make it happen if you really, really want to make it happen. Whether it's raising the taxes, whether it's coming up with a solution, but something needs to change. And please hear us and give us the budget that we need and ask for over and over again. Thank you. We need change for everything. We need change for the monies, we need change for everything. I'm tired of seeing kids like crying because they miss their own teacher. They want their own teachers back. And then you are receiving a little amount that means a lot. We need a lot of change.
Abby Jones. On the temporary Zoom for the, and to the vote at I was meeting my old teacher talk. Almost every day, I walk in. My friend and I would show with all the costumes, get more shirts done. It's sad that costume showed that we could all be pretty much that's, and shirts we should actually, but no more. When my house needs something to do, most of the stuff in the house, which we go to the time, out of there, we give it. Now, other children are. We use all our own mother who works in childcare, I really like to come up with people every day, it's so hard. We don't have other people to help. And it's even more, two like people out of both half. I think the cost of about $1, sure, probably the cost. Not only that, I can tell you how many times I get a new photo, because my work. I know I'm just not going to school every day, it's in my teachers, why you broke the water and just out of bed. Now I go to school and all my teachers are still outside the classroom, they didn't work class. I'm gonna get you got it clearly, it's how they have to go to. He was different, he said he doesn't have, they all want to see, they didn't see, you got it, thank you.
That it? That's all that you signed up for, does anybody change their mind on the speaker? Please state your name and address for the record.
It's several hours. After just about 2 years, and I have been affected by the budget and the cuts. My own teacher has been off, and when she quit was happening, many of my classmates were dedicated, but she's only one of them, many students had to let go. And not just the teachers, not just the only classes that let go too. Also, the fifth grade Richard, because their teachers, didn't require to do that. And those kids could like. Those kids could like not receive the education that they need because they are at higher level, because that teacher needs substitute.
many other things with other local classes. When we can't do that, because our kids are not getting about. And many of them were like created different positions. And, I hope that this problem doesn't have to affect people who.
Is there anybody else who wants to?
It's Eddie, 26 Arizona Drive. A lot of people have spoken, and your rules at the beginning were speak to next year's budget, speak to you and address you. And one of the things that was a little bit lacking in what others said was just the question. How do we not go through this again next year? If we don't fully fund the budget, we're already asking for that to happen just at the start of the year. Oh, we'll just add 10% and we'll be fine, hopefully. But in order to not have this happen again, in order to not have teachers leave mid-year, do not expect things, or lose teachers, mere 30 days before the end of the year. Fully funding the education fund, please.
Does that mean you want to speak? No. But you don't want to speak. Well, like I said, I want to thank you all for coming, for your perseverance and staying at the very end. And your viewpoints, and all the events of the meeting, events to be analyzed, and review what was said tonight, and we will do. And thank you again for another enlightening public hearing on the budget. Thank you very much for coming out, and we'll see you next year.